evening, keepers of the cash. Gary B, the casual comic guy here, and joining me, as always, just about every single Thursday, we have my good buddy Digger Jim. Jim, how you doing tonight, sir?
Doing fantastic. I am so ready for the weekend. Godzilla comes out today. I will be seeing it first thing tomorrow with my son.
What you mean,
it's
Kong?
our father-son. What's that?
What you mean, Kong? Kong comes out?
I mean, Godzilla versus Kong.
Pretty sure you meant Kong.
Pretty sure I'm always
people
going to
your
mean
age
Godzilla.
misspeak. It's okay.
You can see this room.
Just having a senior moment. Is that it?
No, it's Godzilla v Kong. He's a Godzilla guy.
versus Kong.
Guy.
Yes.
But Gary's on the wrong side of the tracks, trying to be Kong.
And of course, I was just on his channel last night. He was gracious enough to have me, and now he is gracious enough to come on my channel again this evening. We have none other than the man of the hour, actual Dracula himself. Adrian, how you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here. Thank you again for coming on the show last night. I hope you had a good time. It was a complete train wreck. And thanks for having me. It couldn't have gone too badly, or I wouldn't be here right now, I guess.
It didn't go badly for me until about halfway through my shift, when not sleeping for 24 hours caught up to me, and I got super we just went dopey for a while.
Well, I'm afraid there's nothing I could do about that.
I got home this morning and I crashed for like 5 straight hours, and then went and picked my kid up from school, and I feel great now.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. But let's do like we normally do in this show, Adrian. So first off, you're going to tell everybody who you are, what your channel's about. We'll go say hi to the audience, then we'll come back to you for your first book, bud.
Sounds good. Yeah. I'm actual Dracula. Some people call me Adrian. Most people call me Drac. And yeah, my channel is it's about comic books and comic art. I also do interviews. I started it a few years ago, and it's kind of evolved. I don't get to do as much content as I would like to, especially as over the past 2 years I've really started to focus more on my artwork. That being said, I do have a newest show that's specifically about that, called Blood in Ink Out, and that's all about artwork, whether it be mine or just comic art in general.
And that's a great title too.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I love that.
So that's my art show. I also do occasionally, as I did last night, casual Dracula, but since the very beginning, that's just been a kind of whenever it happens, it happens. And then I also do Interview with the Dracula, and I'll be doing another one of those tomorrow night. So I'm looking forward to that. And that's about it. I don't know what else to say. It's just
that's all right. Let's go say hi to our audience. So
it's just try to have fun, happy times on the channel. So.
We got Kevin in first this evening. Good evening, Kevin. Nice to see you, buddy. Followed by Las Cruces. Good evening, sir. Nice to see you. Nice win from DJ Links, buddy. Anachronic Comics. Joe, how you doing tonight, sir? Heading out with the wife. But I know Joe will watch it on the rewind. He always does. We have Brad from Canada. Good evening, Brad. Nice to see you, buddy. Phil's Treehouse. Good evening, sir. Nice to see you. The OG Blue Wrench herself, Miss Tina Carenson. Good evening, Tina. Nice to see you. Paul from Psychedelic Comics. Good evening, sir. We have Brother John in. Hey, John. How's it going, bud? Nice to see you. We have Chris, the comic vet. He's not that kind of vet. How you doing tonight, Chris? Nice to see you, sir. Doopy-doopy-doo. And going down here, we have Katie, K-pop junkie. How you doing, Katie? Always great to see Katie. You can't see K-pop. You can't see Katie without getting a smile.
That's true.
And KDBM, nice to see, or KBDM. I always reverse that for some reason. Nice to see you tonight, sir. Barbarian Kung Fu, greetings, sir. Nice to see you. All right, and we will keep nodding off as people are getting their notifications and coming in. And but for now, Jack, we're going to bring it back to you, sir. Start us out with your first book, and let's make you big.
All right. I like this. Okay, so my first, I don't know, 4 books or so are going to be related in some way to something everyone's been talking about, and I think for good reason, the X-Men, the animated series, and of course X-Men 97, the reboot or sequel, if you will.
Right.
And so for me, that was always my favorite Saturday morning cartoon. And I was excited but a little hesitant when I heard about X-Men 97, especially with there's in recent years there's so many reboots and reimaginings of stuff from when I was a kid, stuff from the 80s. And it's hit or miss. It takes a lot more than just the nostalgia factor to get me. That's really, it's like, okay, that's cool, but it's without a good story, or then what's the
Right.
point? So
What's the point?
yeah,
Yeah,
so
and then this comes on and just knocks it out of the park.
exactly. So I was
enjoyed
pleasantly
it.
surprised when I saw the first 2 episodes, and I thought they nailed it. And that seems to be, for the most part, like the general consensus.
I agree.
Everyone that grew up with that show is really enjoying it. And yeah, they hit it
Simon,
out of the
how you
park.
doing, buddy?
Yeah.
So I've got some books here that either are directly related to the shows, or I just have some connection with them. They remind me of that.
Now, are these
that
4
show.
books counting as one entry or your
No,
first
no,
4 books?
I'm doing separate.
Okay.
And so the first book I'm going to show is going to be directly related to X-Men 97. And I think the obvious choice for that would be Uncanny X-Men 200, which is like the trial of Magneto, which we get that in episode 2. But I was going through my books, and I recalled I had this, which is Uncanny X-Men Annual 17, which is the first appearance of the Executioner, who makes an appearance in episode 2 of X-Men 97. And this book, that's easier. This is one of those books I don't remember when or where I bought this. I didn't have this when it came out, but I do remember seeing it because this actually came in a poly bag. I mean, it was very 90s. This came out in 93. This came out in the
Did it have a card
bag,
too?
poly bag with the card, and big bubble on the front that said the debut of Marvel's epic new character. And I thought his costume was pretty cool. Less so now, but at the time I really liked it. And here's the thing, I thought this character, I'm surprised he did not show up in the original animated series, given that he debuted in 93. It seemed like they were trying to make a big deal out of him. He even got his own action figure, and those action figures were huge at the time, of course. Now, mind you, they gave a whole bunch of C and D list characters action figures, so maybe that's not saying much. But
Right.
Yeah.
But it's still nice to
he
see
ended up
your
just kind of being like a throwaway character, He and so it was kind of cool to see him show up in X-Men 97 because he's kind of like a forgotten 90s, X-Men character. Now, as a character, I don't think he's all that interesting. Like,
right.
He's essentially like the Punisher for mutants, right? Like his mentor was killed by mutants, and so he's got this suit made of alien technology, and he's just out to get revenge on all mutants and execute them, I suppose.
See, that's how they should have sold him, right? The Mutant Punisher.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like they could have promoted him like as such.
Well, that's one of the things too. I thought they did really good in that second episode, Adrian.
Mm-hmm.
Is like they didn't hold back on the dialogue for the bad guys. They were clearly up to no good. And they stated it plainly.
Yeah.
It was like that's how you write a bad guy.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it was cool to see him because I remember the character, and I honestly thought that, who knows, maybe they had plans to put him in the original series and just never got around to it. But it seemed like he was made for that, especially given when this came out. And
Right.
So
well, they probably had plans, and it just the show ended before they could execute them.
Right. Yeah. Guess so. Anyway, so that's my first book. First
nice.
appearance of Executioner. Oh, this also happens to be the first appearance of Shard, who is Bishop's sister. I don't remember if she ever showed up in the cartoon or not. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, Executioner.
Also an affordable key, right?
Oh yeah, that's like, you can find that in dollar bins probably.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure you can get those in dollar bins.
But I mean, if you're spec'ing, you want some potential future keys, there you go. There's 2 of them in there.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a little late for Executioner since he's already showed up, and I don't know if he's coming. I don't know if he's coming back. Yeah, Yeah, that's true.
All right, number 2, sir.
Number 2. Okay, so that's my X-Men 97 book, and then I got a few that are, for me, or at least, 1 or 2 here that remind me of X-Men, the animated series, the original. Now, again, an obvious choice would be this, but I'm not going to show this because this is X-Men Adventures Explosive Action from the hit TV series. I considered showing this, but Lady Fantastic showed this off 2 weeks ago, so we're going to forget that one.
So she ruined it for you.
Yeah.
And we'll send her some bad messages. Don't worry, Adrian, we're on it.
No, it's okay. Anyways, that
on Caroline.
I wasn't really going to show that because for me, when I think of X-Men, the animated series, kind of, there's a few storylines that come to mind that were memorable, but what for me, the thing that was most memorable about that show was one character in particular, and that is Apocalypse. So XFactor number 6, first appearance of Apocalypse. And it was because that cartoon, that show is responsible for, making Apocalypse my favorite X-Men villain, one of my favorite villains ever. I thought they utilized him really well in that show, and I just thought he was just a badass, and they made him actually powerful,
right,
and like a true threat. And yeah, I just thought he was such a great villain, and I hadn't really, I don't really remember having too many comics with him in them. So it's really the animated series that was kind of responsible for that.
It is funny that you brought up XFactor because I was talking to a nerd buddy today. I was like, what if they take this opportunity to split Cyclops and Jean off and create an XFactor cartoon?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that's an option that's on the table.
Because I remember loving that XFactor New Mutants. I loved.
Yeah.
Now, do you also like the Morlocks? Because the Morlock storyline was one of my favorites too.
Yeah, I did really like the Morlock storyline. Absolutely. But for me, it was Apocalypse. I loved there was a few different storylines there that involved Apocalypse pretty heavily. Apocalypse and Cable, especially. And here's the thing. When you think of when I think of the animated series, I think of Apocalypse because there were some other villains that were a key part of it. Magneto, of course, the Sentinels. There was a lot of Sentinel stuff early on.
Right, a lot of Bolivar Trask.
Yeah, but I was curious because for me, I was like, man, it feels like Apocalypse was in it all the time. So I decided to look up, which villain had the most appearances in the animated series. And Apocalypse and Magneto are tied for the most appearances.
Really?
They both appear in 22 episodes.
Wow. For some reason, I just
So
thought
it's as much Apocalypse's show as it is Magneto's.
I thought for sure Magneto was in it more.
Nope. Equal
Now,
amount.
do you think we'll see him in this new iteration, Drac?
I think you have
I
to.
think they should. I think they have to too,
Yeah,
because
I think they have
like I said, it was as much his show as any other characters. Like he was.
Now,
in
what
it,
was your take on the live action Apocalypse? Like it, hate it, indifferent to it?
did not care for it. No, that's not my Apocalypse. No, there were certain elements that they got right. He kind of had, he had Apocalypse's whole survival of the fittest philosophy down, but even that was a bit perhaps tamer than it should have been. But
Well, they had a great actor for him. Like there's like
Oscar Isaac's a great actor, but I don't think he was right for the character.
Well, I think it was more script issues than him.
That's true. I also thought that, generally I'm not really a stickler for it's got to be comic accurate. Like I personally don't care how tall Hugh Jackman is. However, with Apocalypse, I do think he should be much bigger, much more imposing.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Anyways, you guys want to take a guess at, so Magneto and Apocalypse are tied for most appearances. Any guess who the villain with the second most appearances would be?
Mr. Sinister?
I was going to say, yeah.
No. I thought so too. I remember him being in a lot of episodes. Mr. Sinister was not in that many episodes.
No.
Sabretooth?
I was going to say
with
him
21 episodes. Sabretooth. Yeah, he was in it a lot. Mm-hmm.
That's because
now, have you watched episode 3 yet, Drac?
I haven't watched it yet. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it tonight.
Yeah.
Mystique. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Mystique was in it a lot too. Yep, she was. Yeah. But yeah.
For all we know, she could have been Sabretooth.
That's true. So yeah,
one of those instantly recognizable covers too.
Yeah, great cover.
Yeah, absolutely. And so still one of my favorite villains ever. And like I said, it's because the animated series, it made me I just thought he was really cool. That he was like a real, a true villain, a real threat. But like Magneto, he thought at least for him, he was doing what was the right thing.
His cause was noble.
His cause was noble and just. Yeah, exactly. Unlike Mr. Sinister, who just liked to fuck with people,
Right, yeah, to make him, to keep making himself better.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's that. This is a Canadian price variant to boot.
Ooh.
And,
nice.
Yeah. So there's that. And moving along to book 3. And actually, these next ones are Apocalypse related, maybe more than animated series related.
Chris?
But we'll see. So this next one, actually another XFactor book. Now this was a story because they touched on a lot of different stories in the animated series. They did not do this one specifically, although I think there were elements in some of the stories with Cable and Apocalypse probably related to this. And who knows, that maybe in X-Men 97 we'll get I don't imagine they'll do this whole story because it's a little bit convoluted and isn't exactly a fan favorite, but XFactor 86, this is part of the Executioner's Song crossover. The big crossover in the I guess it was 93.
Yeah, that went through all the titles, I think.
It did, yeah, all the X titles. And so I remember I picked these up because I initially bought these. Well, I mean, first of all, polybagged with a card,
right?
You gotta grab that.
You gotta get it.
Yeah, the gimmick gets you right away.
They get you right away, but they also now the Executioner's Song crossover. This took place. There had already been a bunch of crossovers in recent history at this time. Inferno, Extinction Agenda,
Right.
but I was not familiar with those at the time. This was my first kind of
Mega event.
mega event, at least definitely with the X-Men. And what really stuck out to me was some of these covers. This one in particular, with the Jay Lee cover with Apocalypse and Archangel. I was like, "What the hell is that?" Because Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld had just left for Image like 2 issues before, before Executioner Song started. So here we go. So you got Jay Lee. I forget who some of the other artists were on the other books. Scott Lobdell was writing Uncanny, and so I think he was probably largely responsible for the Executioner Song story. Which, if you haven't read it, I'd say give it a read at least once. It is it's a bit of a mess. It kind of goes nowhere at times. It was supposed to be like reveal the origins of Cable, which it doesn't really do. Kind of like gives you a few more clues of who Cable is, but not really. And
now, who's your favorite B-list X-Man? Like not a main player.
B-list X-Man. Wow, that's a good question.
Chew on it a little bit.
Yeah, I have to think about that. I know because I know there's. I mean, I don't really think about the B-list X-Men. I like Wolverine, I like Gambit, I like Cyclops. Those are all A-listers. So
Dude,
Storm.
So
right?
So for a second, Jack.
Yeah.
That first episode.
Mm-hmm.
How great was it with the introductions of Storm and Cyclops? They felt like the badasses they are, the way they came on screen. Like when you saw the bad guy talking to Sunspot, and you saw the sky start to go, and all of a sudden you're getting amped up, like, oh, Storm's coming.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah, that was awesome.
And then when Scott made the scene, and he's just like flying through the air, like he's laying down, like, to me, my X-Men, and then he just lands with his Cyclops beam.
Yeah, I mean, the hero landing thing, like, it was over the top. It was silly. It's not something that I would even think that Cyclops would do, probably, but who cares? Like, that's what the show is for. It's like you can get away with stuff like that that you wouldn't in the comic books, I think. So,
and it was
that's
just
the first
great
time I'd ever seen him use his. I'd never seen him use his optic blast to like push away.
Yeah, well,
I used it as a form of.
If you go with the comics, it's supposed to be one of the most powerful powers out there. Like, that thing is supposed to decimate.
Right, yeah, him and Havoc as well, right? They're 2 of the most powerful mutants. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just like that they're showing him as a leader. They're showing him take charge. And even when it came time for action, even though him and Wolverine were at odds the whole episode, Wolverine fell in line. And when Scott said, "To me, my X-Men," they were all there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, and I thought it was cool the way Gambit charged up Wolvie's claws. Although as soon as he charged the claws, I'm like, they got to show it charged the whole skeleton, because it didn't stop the claws.
I know.
If he charged that, his whole skeleton's charged. He's amped up.
Yeah, they got to do that in the next episode. But actually, so Executioner's Song, guys, like I said, it's not my highest recommendation, but I recommend reading it at least once. Scott and Jean do play an important role in this, as it's has to do with, actually, have either of you guys read Executioner?
I've never read the Executioner Song.
Then no, I won't spoil it.
Yeah.
But the main, antagonist in this is Strife.
Right.
And
he was all over 90s X books.
He was, yeah. Anyways, the point I was going to get to, which I just remembered about this because it's tying into my Apocalypse theme, is that Apocalypse is also, of course, a main character in this storyline. And this was so going from seeing Apocalypse in the animated series where he was really powerful and a real threat to this, where he's taken out of his regeneration chamber early. So throughout this whole story, he's like so weak, is nearly killed multiple times, and actually towards the end, he's begging Archangel to mercy kill him.
Wow.
And so seeing it was like, man, this isn't my Apocalypse, like what's happening here? And I don't remember quite what happens at the end. I mean, he doesn't die obviously, but I think you're kind of left thinking that, oh shit, Apocalypse might be actually dead.
Right.
So yeah, but the main thing for me, why I pulled this issue in particular is that Jay Lee cover, man. He did a couple covers for this series, this crossover, just so good and so wild.
And Apocalypse looks like
I had not seen anything. I don't think I had seen Jay Lee's artwork prior to these books. So, yeah, that's book. I think it was 3.
Yep, book 3.
Okay. And then continuing with the, we'll say 90s X-Men and Apocalypse theme. This is another big one for me. When this came out, like I said, Apocalypse was my favorite villain. So when I heard about this series, I remember reading about it in Wizard prior to it actually happening, and I went to my my LCS owner. I was like, "Do you know anything about this? Does this actually have anything to do with Apocalypse?" Because you got to understand, I was all about Apocalypse. I thought he was the most badass character. I was like, "Does this actually have to do with Apocalypse?" He's like, "Yeah, he's like the guy. That's why it's called Age of Apocalypse." So,
Right.
XMen Alpha #1.
With the foily goodness, huh?
Yeah, that chromium. I love it. Wraparound cover.
That's
and
got Link and the one-hand Wolverine.
The one-handed Wolverine. And so this another big, X-book crossover, but more of Elseworlds type tale, right? Like they just took the whole X universe and flipped it inside out. They made it something completely new. And I ate this up. I mean, I was, I think, 12 years old or whatever this came out. I bought or tried to buy every book in this in Age of Apocalypse. I thought it was just great. And I don't know. I have not gone back and read like this since. I don't really know how it holds up.
Right.
All I know is that as a 12-year-old kid, I absolutely loved this whole Age of Apocalypse storyline. And I know.
Now, are you hesitant to go back and read it because you want to keep it that iconic status in your head?
Yeah, kind of, because I know parts of it are going to be completely ridiculous, but
yeah.
I was also had some great artwork. Joe Madureira.
Yeah.
And
I love that art.
XMen Alpha, awesome cover there, so good. So yeah, that's another one, again, just because of Apocalypse. So yeah, I was so stoked when I found out it was like, oh, Apocalypse has taken his rightful place as ruler of the universe, essentially. I was like, fuck yes, I'm all for it.
See, those Dracs, man, they got an evil side that runs through.
Evil streak, yeah.
The thing is, it's like I don't agree with the dude's philosophy at all, but
it's just a badass character, huh?
Yeah.
Well, it makes it fun to read, right?
Yeah. Oh, and okay, I'm gonna sneak this one in here too, just because I have to. It goes with that, but that's when they did the all gold covers.
Oh my! I don't ever seen that before.
Factor X.
Wow.
Yeah. So they did these, I think, for all the #1s of there was Amazing X-Men, Factor X.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
full
that's
gold.
nuts. Well, some of them,
So
it was
good.
just so hard to see the art on it too, with how shiny it was. You had to catch it
Mhm.
in the light just the right way.
Yeah,
Mhm.
You got Tina saying,
Yeah,
"Oh,
I love
cool."
these.
You got Marcus saying it's sexy.
Yeah, I know I've never seen that.
Damn, hot.
They collect the minis. Yeah. Yeah, it's called the Ultimate Edition. That's right. It says it right there.
Nice.
Yeah,
Oh, that is some good shiny goodness.
square bound book. Yeah.
There you
Yeah.
go.
So
Send that out and get your 9.9, right?
yeah. And that was number 4.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm gonna do let me just see here that I don't. Yeah, I'll just do one more Apocalypse book. I'm on this Apocalypse tip. I might as well
Sure.
keep going with it. And I don't even have much to say about this one. It's just Apocalypse versus Dracula,
Oh, nice.
right?
I didn't even know that book existed.
Yeah.
No, that's crazy.
So this was a 4-part miniseries written by Frank Thierry. Henry, I forget this artist's name. Something Henry. Anyways, another Jay Lee cover there. Apocalypse.
Yeah, and that's a
versus
kick-ass cover.
Dracula. Mm-hmm.
It's almost like he
Yeah.
was emulating Mike Mignola just a little bit with the background aesthetic.
Yeah,
That's kind of what I was thinking. It's very Mike Nola.
Also, Jay Lee's style has evolved over the years, and he certainly had. There was periods where he was doing like this a lot of solid blocks, like Mignola too. So yeah, and I honestly, I don't really remember this story. I don't have all the issues actually. Yeah, that's why I can't tell you the story, because I only have the first 2 issues, which I've read. But I need to find the other 2, so I don't know how the story ends, guys. I don't know who wins, Apocalypse versus Dracula. But if I had to take a guess,
You're gonna have to get those eBays.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you can find these. Like, I found these in dollar bins.
I've never seen
I
it, so
bet
it
you
must
could
have been
find-
like a low print run from the 90s or something.
Yeah,
I think
bet
so.
you could find it
I mean,
somewhere.
it's and I think it's early 2000s maybe. But obviously, I thought the concept sounded cool, and they're both basically immortal legends, and 2 of the most badass villains ever. So it just makes sense that you would have Apocalypse versus Dracula.
Now what if Apocalypse got bit by Dracula and then became Vampire Apocalypse?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't know that it would make any difference for him, other than he
It
couldn't
make
go
him
out.
more
Well,
badass.
if it meant he couldn't go out in the sun, it would make him less of a badass. Actually,
Oh, it would.
right? Yeah.
Give him a handicap.
Now, mind you, Dracula has the advantage in that he doesn't have to go into some damn regeneration chamber to stay immortal. He just is. So, yeah.
Right. But if you got to go into a regeneration chamber, are you truly immortal?
That's a good question. Yeah. I'm not even entirely sure how that all works with Apocalypse. I just know that when he's got to, I guess, take a nap every once in a while.
Right.
Don't we all?
Yeah, he gets tired, right?
Absolutely.
There you go.
So there it is, the Dracalypse. Yeah. So guys, I don't know if anyone else here has read this. I haven't read the whole thing yet either. I'm waiting to find out.
Yeah, I found out about that book today.
Yeah.
This
is one of those books I had no idea about either. I just came across it in a dollar bin. I was like, yoink.
I find a lot of that from the 90s. Like,
yeah,
I bought so many like little 3 and 4 issue series that I'm like, oh, I didn't know this was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Buy it, read it. That was really good. Like the Kitty Pryde and Pete Wisdom 3 issue miniseries I really liked.
I don't know that.
Pride and Wisdom.
Yeah, I never seen that either until you talked about it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
What
I had
stinks is
found
when you go
two
to a place
complete
and
sets of it.
they only got
I
two
read
issues.
it, kept one, and I sent the other one to Caroline.
Yeah.
All right. That was, I don't know what that was, 5 or
That was 5, sir.
okay. So I'm done with the apocalypse stuff. You can I mean, I could have just showed 10 apocalypse books, no problem, but I'll stick with those. I am gonna go with one more 90s book though,
23.
and uh aside from X-Men, I mean in the 90s, I was reading X-Men, Spider-Man, Venom, all that stuff. But
Yeah, just like the
another
rest of the world, we're all reading those.
yeah, but another one of my favorite books was Wildcats, and
Okay, some Jim
Oh,
Lee.
yeah.
yes, Jim Lee, but what really this was like this particular series was a game changer for me, just in terms of the artwork. I had never seen anyone do what these guys did before. So this was I guess it would have been volume 2 of Wildcats. Scott Lobdell.
Oh, yeah.
So uh, there's that goes back to Executioner's Song. He took over Wildcats, and Travis Charest and Richard Friend doing the artwork. And this was, guys, if you have not seen these books, I don't remember how many issues Travis Charest did, but it was just next level. There was a lot of great artists, in the 90s, but I had never seen anyone doing what Travis Charest started doing with Wildcats. Just unbelievable. The amount of the just the style he worked in, and then just the meticulous detail in everything, and it was just so it was just perfect. I'd never seen anything quite like it. And Richard Friend inking it. I mean, I think Richard Friend's one of the best modern inkers there is. They also did a Wildcats X-Men crossover that also has incredible artwork. But I'll just pull this up because I remember
Katie
first of all,
agrees with you.
he had yeah, I know, yeah, I know Katie agrees with me on this. Absolutely. Had amazing covers like this, but the interiors, I mean, let's see if I could find I don't know which issue in particular I like the best, but like
Oh, wow.
yeah, there was a realism to the way he would draw figures that you were not really getting in any other 90s books. I mean, you see how Rob Liefeld struggles with anatomy, right? Travis Charest
Right.
doesn't really have that problem. I mean, he did have his stylistic things.
Right. Well, the 90s was the era where they drew just too many muscles on everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, there's better examples than this issue. This is issue 2. I mean, but the it was
It's like a
just so
badass Ripley moment there.
so clean. It's just everything's so clean and so meticulous. Every line is like exactly where it's meant to be. And this is coming out of an era where there's just hatching all over the place, like haphazard.
Right.
How many artists, even artists that were great, were just haphazardly throwing hatching all over the place. Even someone who was, I think, exceptional at it, like Stephen Platt or Dale Keown, there was something about what Travis Charest was doing that like made everyone look messy in comparison, because the stuff was just so clean and like perfect, just perfect. And that's also also Richard Friend is largely responsible for that as well.
You know, I thought the same thing. Like during that time, that's when they had at Wildstorm they had the Tomb Raider series out, and
Yeah.
that was all. The art just blew me away in the Tomb Raider series. Like it
Yeah.
was so clean, and it was just so nice. He had great covers by like Philip Tan, Billy Tan, Scott Lobdell, Adam Hughes. You had just had all the greats working on that series, doing things for it.
Yeah. So that's one of my highest recommendations. I don't recall how many issues that Sheree worked on. I do know one, and I remember this is the first time I recall encountering this. Was Travis Sheree? I think understandably so. He wasn't pumping out a page a day on this stuff. I think it took him quite a while to work on these pages. And so there was, I recall a couple issues where about 3/4 of the way through, they switched to a fill-in artist. And, but it was like night and day, the difference.
Right.
Like I was like, how could you do that? Right. Like,
and it's so jarring when you're used to one style and you're reading it and you're invested, especially when it's in one particular story and you get one section of that story is by a fill-in. You're like, oh, why?
Yeah. And it wasn't like the fill-in artist was bad, but compared to Sheree, like almost everyone's bad. No, like he's he absolutely was killing it.
Well, thank you, Steve.
And he understands. So he doesn't work on monthly books. He has not done in quite some time, but he still does work, of course. And he's just one of my favorite artists. And that was my first time seeing his artwork, and it just blew my mind. I'd never really seen anything like that before.
See, that's what I thought about John Buscema when I saw John Buscema on Conan. I was like, ooh, never saw anything like what John Buscema was doing with that title.
Yeah. So that was it. Wildcats. Now my next book, this is one that it's funny. I didn't really know much about this character, but I always thought he had one of the best designed costumes ever. And so I wanted this book for a while, and just never pulled the trigger on it. Not a huge book, but not exactly cheap either. But then I did come across a copy, and I was like, it was a really good deal. I couldn't believe it. And this, oh man, no, it's a reprint actually. So never mind.
Oh,
get that one.
Jim's taking the piss right
now. I had to. I was going to do that
somewhere. Yeah. One day when I was on the show, it's going to come. Oh, Chris abuses it like nobody's business. He's just like, can I still play it? I was like, hey, it's on the internet. Anybody can get it.
Yeah,
oh, that's funny.
I'm sure I've made the same mistake. Maybe.
I had you to be surprised how many people were DMing me going, dude, I did that like 4 times in the last 6 months. And that's what I call drunk buying and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And that's a classic. That was a classic moment. I got a real kick out of that.
I almost did that with the Mayday Parker book because I'm always like searching for that one for a good deal. And then I'm like, I'm like, let me really look at this. I'm like, oh, it's the reprint one. I have the reprint one.
Now, what if one, you mean?
Yeah.
Now, what if? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. What if 105? You'll know it.
I've had the opposite situation where I was in just going through back issues at my LCS, and I pulled out a Wolverine 1, like the not the Frank Miller one, but the
John Buscema one.
John Buscema Wolverine 1. And it was so crispy, so mint. I was like, this thing's got to be a reprint because they had a $20 or $18 price tag on it for a 9/8 copy. I was like, this has to be a reprint, but that book had not been reprinted.
Wow,
an original.
And that I think that's superior to the Frank Miller one, in my opinion. The John Buscema.
Really?
The art, yeah. It's just my opinion, Jim. You got to live with it.
I mean, I love them both. So,
yeah. I mean, I respect it. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So, what's your real number 7, Drac?
Okay, so my real number 7, actually, I got this for you, Gary, and I swear to you, I did not own this book up until about 10 minutes before the show started. I'm not making that up. So I can't tell you anything about this book because I haven't had time to read it, other than I know that it is the Savage Sword of Conan 128.
Nice.
And
wow,
how did I come to acquire this book 10 minutes before the show started? Well, let me tell you, my neighbor is moving on Sunday. In fact, he's moving all the way to Switzerland.
Wow.
And so I've actually got comics from him before. He had like boxes of old comics. He sold me a few. I got actually a Wolverine 1 from him. And he was like, I still got a few comics and graphic novels left if you want them, since I'm moving on Sunday. And so he handed me a few books, and this was one of them. It's like, that's pretty sweet. Well, that's going to be one of my books for Gary B.
And I think that guy only ever did that one cover for Conan.
I don't know who it is.
David Maddenley, I think. I think that's the only cover he did for Savage Sword. It might be. I have to look it up.
Cool back cover as well.
Yeah, that's what's always awesome is it takes the whole cover.
Yeah. So this is now I don't own any Savage Sword of Conan, so this is my first copy.
Well, the cool thing about those magazines, if you open the front cover, it'll tell you who did the cover art, and if there's a frontispiece on it, it'll
David Mattingly. Yeah. Yeah.
Look at that, Gary B. Come on.
Yeah. Well, that's why I had to show.
I think it's David Mattingly.
I knew Gary would be able to tell me something about it.
Such a good series, and the new one started out good, not great, but they brought in Solomon Kane, which is great, and man, Conan issue 9 was so good. Some of my all-time favorite Robert E. Howard characters are in that book. They make sense. It's fantastic, and what an introduction with incredible art by Roberto De La Torre, and Jim Zub's killing it on there.
This is a current series.
Yeah. So good by Titan Comics.
Mm-hmm.
It's only got like 9 issues out, and I already got like a short box of covers.
Hey man, you got to do what you got to do. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, great choice.
I don't know what's going on in these pages. All I know is that.
Well, it's just that's a striking cover.
Surprise acquisition. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, cover's awesome. So that's book number 7. Was it?
Book number 7, yep.
Book number 8. Oh, actually, so this is also a book I got from my neighbor, but like I think sometime last year. I just was going through his box of books and I saw this, and it's kind of a relic from a bygone era. You don't really see stuff like this made anymore. And it's focus on John Byrne. This is a Fantagraphics book.
That's
yeah,
nice.
I'm having heart palpitations right now. Oh no!
I love that cover too.
Yeah.
Can we just
this is
look
a
at that for the rest of the time?
Yeah.
And
what this is essentially is because Fantagraphics published Amazing Heroes and Comics Journal, and so this is essentially like an Amazing Heroes style interview book.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's got interviews with John Byrne, and then just some of his artwork, and
some art. Yeah.
Those books are fantastic. I like the Fantagraphics stuff quite a bit.
Yeah. It's got a checklist of his books, right?
That green chicken, get it?
Yeah.
She's Alpha Flight. Her name's Myrna.
Oh, the green. Oh,
Yeah, Sue, and the other two are from Alpha Flight.
I don't remember.
Yeah, Snowbird and
I'm sorry, but they're a Canadian group. Yeah. You should be able to tell me.
No, I know that's Snowbird, but I don't know the green chick. I don't know her.
She's like, I want to say Namarita or no,
it's not. It's like
not Namarita. It's like Marina or something like that. Mira. I don't know, but she cuts the cheat out of Puck, man. Just turns around and guts him. She got like red.
I was
trying. Her first appearance was in issue 2 of Alpha Flight.
Right.
I'm trying to find the.
I just can't remember her name.
One specific picture here. Oh, here's like Judge Dredd. There's a Galactus. That's pretty cool.
Nice Galactus. Yeah.
And then there's oh, there we go. So this is another ultra rare goodie from John Byrne's 8-page story Quarf
definitely not that.
from 1975. Look at that.
Oh yeah. Oh, wow. Look at that booty, Marcus.
Yeah. And and this book's from 1984. So this is really cool because you don't see these just aren't made anymore, and you know.
Yeah, I might have to look that one up on eBay.
Yeah.
Me too.
John Byrne.
Damn it.
And he's another one of those artists that could draw just any hero you give him, and it looks great.
Mm-hmm.
He got his work because he churned it out.
Covers were just classic.
Yeah. Totally classic. Yeah, Byrne is
one of the best. One of the best
to ever do it.
Yeah,
just one of the best to ever do it.
Yeah. And I think I could confidently call him my favorite Fantastic Four artist. I really loved his Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, for me, it's Kirby, but that's I could see why you might say Byrne for sure. What always interests me about Fantagraphics is that so they published, like it was all about the comic industry in general with the Comics Journal and Amazing Heroes. It was about creators and it was about the medium because they were publishing. It's funny, like I just can't see this now in like I think Image probably changed that a lot, but here was a company publishing big time indie books. They were publishing Love and Rockets, 8 Ball, Black Hole, but at the same time promoting Marvel stuff like crazy, right? Like with like I mean, this is just full of Marvel stuff. Like it's interesting that they were doing both at the same time because you just really wouldn't see that now.
Yeah, and I think I got their Dazzler issue where they had the big Dazzler interview and it was all about like the deal and all that. I got to give a quick shout out. So Danny Fisher, Drawn Conversation. If you guys aren't subbed to him on YouTube and Instagram, you should get on it. Danny is the cover artist for Need.
Nice.
So thank you, Danny. Always great to see you, buddy. But his channel is great and his Instagram's fun. And he does a deep dive into the art, much like you do, Drac. When you're talking about art, he'll sit there and do a whole sketch. He'll give the whole history of the character.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now, you really think they did a George Perez of that one as well? I wonder. If they did, that's my number 2.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did. I haven't looked into it. I haven't seen any other books like this.
Yeah.
I'm sure they had.
The only thing Byrne did that was off to me sometimes was when he did Small Children. They kind of look like midgets, like you know what I mean, like just adults shrunk down and not so much childlike. So. But yeah,
that book was huge for me, Gary. How to Draw
this one?
The Marvel Way. Yeah.
I got it just because of the John Buscema art, and it is gorgeous.
Classic. That was classic book. Are you kidding?
Yeah, but not to take away from you, Jack. Let's get to your number 9, buddy.
Look at it.
Number 9. Okay. Number 9. This is.
Oh, Marcus.
So this next book was just one of those cool random finds. Now I'm not a huge I'm not like a huge signature guy. Like I don't really go after signatures all that much.
Right.
Obviously if I'm at a con and there's a creator I really like, yeah, I'll go and get their signature. But then if it's like Frank Miller and he's charging $100, it's like it's not really worth it to me.
Keep my 100. Yeah.
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 But what and for some people the getting the signature, it's really more about getting to meet the creator than anything else.
Right.
And it's a bit more of that for me, I suppose, as well. But one thing I really have enjoyed is if I'm just going through back issue bins at a shop or whatever, and I find signed books that you're just not expecting. It's just a total surprise. And this was one of those because it's this was a series I liked when it came out, and I didn't have any books like this signed by this creator. So this is Danger Girl #1, signed by J. Scott Campbell.
Wow.
And then there was a bunch of other signatures on there as well. I don't even know.
They even noticed that, or they just threw it in there?
It was, I don't know. It was just thrown in there for like.
Wait, because his signatures go for cash.
Yeah, and it's issue 1 of Danger Girl, so an important book as well.
It's a great book.
Yeah, I got a Black Cat out signed by him right now in getting graded.
And yeah, this was like priced like I don't know, $10 or something. If that.
That's a good deal.
Yeah. So I've found some pretty cool signed books in back issue bins. I like that just because it's one of those. It's one of the things that I like about collecting and digging is like those surprises. Right. It's like I was not expecting to find a Campbell signature today.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Right. It's like when you open the front cover and you see an old artist signed it on the inside page.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what I got a John Buscema Avengers book. I picked it up for $4. It was just a filler book that I needed in the run, and I opened up the page and I'm like, oh my god, he signed the inside.
What?
Yeah. No, I found a bunch of cool sigs in the back issue bins. Chris Claremont.
I just don't think they have time
on Jim.
I mean, some stores just don't have time to go through all of it like that. They just want to price it and put it in.
You're absolutely right. Like they, or maybe if they see a signature, they're not even bothered to like look who it is.
Well, not only that, when you get collections in, and I know from helping out at my LCS, he had like a group of us that we go through and we look for that stuff, we pull that stuff, we set it aside for pricing, but that is very time consuming. Like if you're trying to get books out and you're trying to get them for sale, sorting through things, if you don't have people to do it for you, it's hours and hours.
Absolutely.
It takes, people don't realize how much time it takes to process a collection to get it ready for sale.
Yeah, it's understandable. And unless it's a huge name signature, I don't know how much more value you can really add to a book like this. Like even J. Scott Campbell, like
it's Danger Girl, and it's not.
It's not like he's probably not losing it on that much, but that's
still high cool factor.
Just the point is, it was a cool thing to find, especially with I haven't even really looked into how all the other signatures are. I have to do that still. I don't know who else worked on this book.
Well, and that's the thing too, like you're hinting at, Jack. The thing with signatures, right? You have people that are hot for a minute, but a lot of those signatures, they don't stay valuable.
No, yeah. I mean,
a lot of them, like
when you consider how many signatures a creator will sign at a single con,
right.
So
Small Town Collectibles is a big Mr. T fan, and like who doesn't like Mr. T? But I got his T-Force book out of the 50-cent book, still signed by him with his signature on it, with the COA for 50 cents in near mint shape, and I sent it to Jimmy.
Nice, I like that. Yeah,
it's Mr. T. Like, why would his signature only be in a 50-cent bin?
Yeah, is it worth more? I don't know. I honestly
don't know. And I brought it up. I'm like, you sure this is only 50 cents, Mr. T? Yeah, 50
It
cents.
might
I'm like,
be,
all right,
it might actually be only worth that. Yeah.
sold. That's 80s nostalgia right there.
It's worth however much you think it's worth. Yeah,
that's right.
Mm-hmm.
But it's fine. I mean, there's at some point where J. Scott Campbell's signature will just, right now he's one of the hot artists, and
right.
But you always have those that stay above for long periods of time. Like Stan Lee will always be valuable.
Of course. Yeah.
I mean, I think like the most valuable living artist now is probably Todd.
Yeah, gotta be.
It's got to be Todd
For a
McFarlane.
living.
Yeah, he's up. Yeah, he's up there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But, all right, number 10, sir.
Number 10. Okay, so this one goes with my getup. Today is opening day for the Blue Jays, who did crush Tampa Bay 8-2. I didn't get to watch the whole game, but that's okay. There's still like 160 odd games left,
right,
in the season.
The baseball seasons are so long, it's crazy.
Oh my god!
Every year, I'm like, this is going on way longer than I remember. But no, it's same schedule every year. This is just a cool find. I've seen other books like this before. From I don't know this publisher, Revolutionary Comics, but they made a bunch of these unauthorized and proud of it, like official, I don't know what you would call them, biographies of different people. And so this is Baseball Superstars issue 19. And this is Dave Winfield of the Toronto Blue Jays. And so this is significant because Dave Winfield hit the winning run to win the Blue Jays' first World Series in 1992, taking it back to 1992 XMen animated series. It's all come full circle. The Blue Jays.
Yes, as a fan, that's an iconic book for you.
Yeah,
absolutely, yeah. And the book itself, I mean, it's the artwork's not particularly great, and it's just like, I know they did a bunch of these with different athletes, and I don't know if they did ones with celebrities.
I think they did some with singers.
Yeah, I think so.
I want to say they had a Prince one.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone buys them to read them and be like, oh, I didn't know that. It's just like they're collector's items.
Right. Yeah, pretty much.
Because they'll make a halfway decent cover. The art inside's garbage, and you're not buying it for a story.
I actually love the cover. I mean, he's got the lightning bat. It's not great, but I love it because it's just some.
I think that's a decent cover.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. Anyways, and it's a piece of history that's. Blue Jays, unfortunately, they went back-to-back World Series and have not won since. Maybe
have you ever thought of doing like the card people do, like a TTM, and sending him that book to see if he'd sign it?
I've never thought about that. No. Yeah.
Because he might, like a card TTM. If you send it to him, he might sign it for you.
Sure. He's probably not that busy right now. So, actually, dude, when he hit the winning double, I believe, to win the World Series, he was 41 years old.
Wow.
He's one of the oldest people to ever hit a World Series.
Did he retire after?
I think so. I don't remember.
Go out on top then, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
My time here is done.
Yeah, 41 years old. So.
That's right.
And like the thing is, like I was excited when it happened, but I was only 11 years old at the time, so it wasn't as big a deal for me then as it would be if it happened now.
Right
now,
I would lose my shit if the Blue Jays won.
But as a
then I was just like, oh yeah, yay, they won. I was way more into hockey at that age. Still, hockey's still my number one, but still it was very cool. And hopefully we'll see. I'll get to see it happen again eventually. So
nice. All right, now 11 with a personal story attached.
11 with a personal story. Yeah, so I was going through my books and I was trying to find something like that. The thing is like, I think this probably goes for most of us, is like 99% of my books I acquired through conventional means. Like,
right.
I bought them at the LCS, or I ordered it online, or I got it in a mystery box. So it's like, none of these have a story, to be honest. And, not an exciting one.
But not true. You've been telling stories all night in these books and how they connect you to your youth.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's true. That's true. But ultimately, I went with this because this is a bit more personal, and it gives me a really great opportunity to plug my show tomorrow night. And this is a copy of Devil's Reign issue 1, the blank sketch variant, and it has 2 sketches on there. One by Chip Zdarsky, who wrote Devil's Reign. This was towards the end of his run on Daredevil. And there's Chip Zdarsky right there. That's drawn by myself.
Nice.
And
I was going to say, that's really good.
Come with me if you want to love.
Love.
And so for those of you who didn't know, I am interviewing Chip Zdarsky tomorrow night on my channel.
Very nice.
And I'm really looking forward to that. So I've had the pleasure of meeting Chip a couple of times. And this was, so the first time I met him, Chip did this was, I guess, last year or the year before. Chip Zdarsky went out on a Canadian tour all by himself. He basically drove around Canada and visited different comic book shops, and specifically smaller ones. I think he wasn't going to like Mile High Comics or something like that. He was going to smaller shops. And so he went to my closest LCS, which is a very tiny, like hole in the wall kind of shop. And so it was really cool that he went there, because honestly, I don't think they've ever had a signing before. Like it's a very small, it's a very small
standard, right?
It's a very small shop with, like, if you want a new book, you've got to have it on your pull list, because it's all just back issues, which is great. But that's what their business is. So he was doing the tour. That was his stop here in Toronto, and that was his only shop. That was the only shop visit in Toronto, was my shop. And I got there at the end of the day, like, where there was like supposed to be maybe 20 minutes left of the signing. And I went in there, and there was like maybe one other person in the shop. It was like the owner and one of the manager, and then Chip, because like people had come through, but like, I kind of missed all the action. I got there in time for like nobody was left, so I got to hang out with Chip for like half an hour, and he signed some books, and I was like, would you want to do a sketch for me on this? Because I had this blank with me.
Right.
It was like, sure. So he sketched me this Daredevil. And once he agreed to do that, and like, I don't know where the idea came from, but I was like, there's room for something else there. I was like, I'm gonna do, make a actual Dracula Chip Zdarsky collaboration cover, and he has no say in this, obviously, because his part's already done. So I get to do mine.
Does he know about this book yet?
Yes. So maybe about 6 months later or so, he came back to not a signing. So he did a live interview with fellow Toronto YouTuber Wednesday Night Reviews, Conrad.
Mm-hmm.
So Conrad did a live interview with him at another comic book shop here in the city, a cafe / comic shop called Sidekick. Shout out to those guys. And so I went to that and I showed him this, and and yeah, he said he loved it. I don't know.
Why wouldn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, I never do this, but I'm taking a picture of it. So I think
then he loved it.
Yeah, I think he liked it.
Take picture
well, and that's like a cover you'd see on like Amazing Heroes, right? With the creator and their book and their character.
Yeah, that's what it kind of reminded me of, actually.
Yeah.
It's like your own Fantagraphics cover.
It is, yeah, and so I and again I got to hang out with Chip for like, I don't know, a good while after that. Like even after everyone had left, like I was there with Conrad and Chip and yeah, just shoot the shit for a little while and yeah, that's about it. And then he agreed to do an interview. It took me a while to decide to do it, and then finally I was like, I forgot, I got to interview Chip. I'll just see if
so
he can do it
now. We got to check Drac's basement.
Yeah.
I
know
So what time is the interview tomorrow?
It's 5 Eastern.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
5 p.m.
So 5 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night. Anyone watching this on the Rewind? It's on 3/29/24 on Actual Dracula's channel. If you're watching it after that, please catch it on the Rewind.
Yes, thank you for that. It should be good. I mean, Chip is I think he's just one of the funniest creators that we've got, and
he's a creator that understands the character he works on. He takes the time to know the character, like,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But but also, like, for me, like, he has a sense of humor that I think not a lot of other creators, and maybe they have, but they don't really it's one, comedy is one of the hardest things to write, and I think you see a lot of writers struggle with it in comic books, but I think
he's good with it, and McKay's good with it.
Chip's really good at it. Yeah. And I just think he's a great writer in general, and he can write almost anything. Like his the breadth of different genres and stuff that he's written, he's all over the place. So
are you following his Batman right now?
I am reading his Batman. Yeah. And I'm enjoying it. He also the final issue of New Burn, which is also great, I think just came out yesterday.
I love New Burn.
It's the final issue, yeah. And so this is my my Chip Zdarsky love story, if you will. Our romance is blooming. We're gonna see. Yeah. Well, it's funny because when I showed up at the interview, he was like, "Oh, hi, Dracula." So, I mean, he knows my real name, so that's good.
Right. So he already had the appropriate sarcastic humor working.
That's right. Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Now it's time for your spec pick.
Right. It's spec. So, I don't speculate on anything. When I first got back into collecting a couple years ago, I was a little bit interested in it. I did watch a lot of like content that was and I still do watch speculation content. I suppose some of my favorite channels are still like spec heavy stuff like Pressable Defects or even Swaggle House, still a bit of spec. And so even though I don't really take part in it, which again, the good part about that is no FOMO. I don't suffer from FOMO and have not in quite some time. You guys ought to try it sometime. It's pretty great.
I'm not a specker either.
Yeah, no, I
really. At the same time, though, you're always aware if there's something in your collection that has potential.
Sure, but I probably won't sell it anyways.
I know. I'm the same way. I have mine, but they're in my collection because I love them.
Yeah, and generally I don't have a lot of big keys, so when something like that happens, it's like, oh, this dollar book is now worth $10. I mean, maybe now's the time to sell. I don't know. But that being said, there's I think there's a couple. I do have some books in my collection that I would consider good spec. The one I was looking for, I could not find it right before the show, but I will tell you that my one kind of spec pick that it has been for a while and apparently still is, because it still hasn't peaked, and that's first appearance of Mr. Sinister, who we were talking about earlier, because I think it's only a matter of time before he shows up in a movie, and I think X-Men 97 as well. I think once he shows up in X-Men 97, that will, you'll see a spike in that book for sure. But it's always been one of the most, I'd say, undervalued X-Men keys is first Mr. Sinister. Now, I don't have that book with me. I don't know what box it's in. So I'm gonna cheat here and sneak in a couple more, but you know what? So let's say you're not interested in the Sinister spec, or maybe you already have it. Another one might be this is something you could potentially look at from Eternity Comics. 40 pages of blood-sucking terror. This is vampires, and so this is all about vampires with teeny tiny little fangs. And I think that it's only a matter of time before somebody makes a movie about vampires with two small fangs. They're more like rattlesnake.
Let's say we've had plenty of vampire movies spelled that way.
Yeah,
and they're all quite edgy with some choice gratuitousness to them.
Right, but the focus here is look at how small those fangs are. They're like little needles.
Cobra.
And I think this is the wave of the future. I think vampire movies in 2025 and 2026 are going to be about, well, what if vampires are cool, but what if their fangs were more like a rattlesnake's,
There you go.
Very thin, and maybe they squirt poison out of the end. I don't know. That's just something I was
Small fang vampires are the wave of the future.
Yeah, also, if vampires aren't your thing, you can always spec on Horse. It is Horse issue 1, of course. We all know Horse. I think Horse is the next big thing.
Who doesn't know Horse? Yeah.
Yeah. So Horse, I know I haven't seen this on Key Collector yet or on Nick's Picks, but it's only a matter of time. So get your copy before.
Jack, do you like cheesy vampire movies?
Sure. Yeah.
Have you ever watched one called Lesbian Vampire Killers?
I haven't seen it, but I have heard of it.
It is hilarious. It is worth a watch.
I will watch that.
Beaver teeth.
Anyways, guys, so you got vampires. If that's not your thing, there's Horse. You go with Horse or
Horse with an exclamation point.
And this is okay. I know I know this is more than one book, but I'm trying to get the word out now. And this one is half serious, but because AI is, it's too late, guys. It's already here. Get used to it. There is this one might be an actual spec. Who knows? I can't say I support it. That doesn't mean I'm not going to try and make a buck off it. You know what I mean? This is Abolition of Man, which is the very first entirely AI generated art comic book. And I believe the writing is AI generated as well. This came out, I think, last year or the year before.
Yeah, we had it in the shop. I just didn't know it was an AI book.
It's entirely AI, and as I said, AI isn't going anywhere. And I think that now might be a good time to get this book while you can, before our AI overlords notice that you don't have a copy.
Right? And they go all Terminator on you.
You know, because at least if you have this, they know that, like, if you don't have it, they might think, well, this person fears us, and, you know, since they fear us, they may try to stop us. So we'll, you know, basically what I'm trying to say is, if you don't buy this book, you're in danger.
Right? I'm just trying to save lives, Drac.
Yeah.
This is a safety tip.
Yeah. So buy the AI comic today, and you won't be disappointed. This is
right,
actually
Cyberdyne Press. Yeah,
Cyberdyne Press. I need to Phil.
I actually don't support this at all, but
yeah.
This being the first, you know what? If this can be the only one, that's fine. I'm okay with that. The AI discussion is a whole other thing, to be honest. Artists are using, people are using it, and they're going to continue to use it. And it's not for me. That's all I'm going to say. It's not my thing. It's like looking in here.
So full of it.
I will show one actual real spec book, though, guys. Gary, sorry, I know you probably want to wrap this up, and I know I could go on about horse for another half an hour at least. But if we're like I said, because I don't really do spec, I'm not interested in spec, so my spec would be more long term, and it's just thinking, okay, who's a major character that we have not seen in like the MCU or DC movies that eventually could show up. And I just think one major character would be, because we are getting Fantastic Four, and maybe not this movie, but maybe the next one or another one, a big baddie that they haven't utilized yet is Annihilus. So there's Fantastic Four.
Oh, nice.
There you go.
Annual 4, first appearance of Annihilus.
I half expect you to bring up the Impossible Man.
No, because like Annihilus is like he's
the
not
negative
like
zone.
He's maybe not an A-list villain, but like he's still, as far as Fantastic Four villains go, he is, because really most of their villains are, who are
that, and if they introduce him through the negative zone, he's like the major threat there.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, no, because aside from Doom and like a couple of the others, they don't have a lot of big villains. Annihilus is one of them, and so that's my spec pick, for if I'm being honest.
That's a good spec pick.
Yeah.
All right, nice. All right, good book, Strat. Thank you.
All right. That's it.
That was fun, especially but I think the takeaway from this episode is horse.
It's got to be horse.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
I mean, we all have.
If there was 12 issues of horse, I would have brought horse issues 1 through 12.
Is his name Equus?
I don't know.
Oh my god!
All right, let's go around the horn. Jim, what's coming up for you, sir?
Man, I don't even know.
He's all thrown off. He can't stop thinking about horse.
Yeah, after that horse joke, I'll definitely be doing digging. I'm always looking for places to dig, and I try to film some. A lot of times it ends up being so badly done, I just chop it into shorts, so you'll see me dig up, something cool here or there, but not a whole video. I don't really have anything set up this time right now. I'm trying to come up with ideas of different things I want to do. I might do a pre-Heroes Con video where I say, this is what I'm looking for. I'll be back to see if I achieve my goal. That type of thing. So.
CJ said that's his favorite well-hung hero is horse.
Absolutely. 100%.
All right, coming up for me next week on Tuesday, we have Ryan Magic Lasso on the 10-1-1. And then Jim, be ready, because next Thursday we have Cliff back in the hot seat.
Oh Lord!
So maybe we'll talk some
I got
XMen
to
97
take my
with
pills
him, and
for
we'll have
that
some
one.
more questions.
Yeah.
I'll
makes
get,
me
I'll
laugh,
have to
but
get one more
it's
co-host
dumb.
for that for fun.
Yeah.
But Drac, what's coming up for you, sir?
Yeah, I mean, I've got my interview with the Dracula tomorrow at 5 with Chip Zdarsky, and then I've got I'll probably put out another episode of Blood and Ink out sometime next week as well. And in a couple weeks, on the 12th, April 12th, I've got another episode of Interview with the Dracula. And this will be my first interview. So far, they've all been with creators, writers, and artists. This will be my first interview with a fellow content creator and seller. And I'll be speaking with West Coast Avengers. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Oh, you got to have Marcus for West Coast Avengers.
Oh, is Marcus a fan?
Yeah, that's his favorite. He has the whole run.
West Coast of West Coast Davengers.
Oh,
Davengers.
Yeah,
they're YouTube people.
Oh, I thought he said I misheard him.
No, this is a man named Dave I'm interviewing.
Yeah,
I'm not interviewing the West Coast Avengers.
Well, I thought you were. I totally misheard. I thought you were interviewing someone about writing the West Coast Avengers.
No, I'm interviewing West Coast Davengers. Guys, check him out here on YouTube if you haven't. He's one of my favorite YouTube channels that I've discovered in the past year or so, and he's got a great podcast as well. So yeah, I'll be interviewing him, and then I'll be taking part in his Davenger Con, I believe, the following weekend, which we'll be talking about that. Yeah, so that's what I've got planned so far.
Nice. Cool. All right. Well, thank you, gents. That was a super fun show. Drac, I loved how passionate you are about Apocalypse and hearing about your love and your childhood. That was great.
It's my guy. Yeah.
Jim, thank you as always, buddy, for being here on Thursdays for me. I appreciate you. And of course, we had a great chat going. Thank you guys so much. And I really appreciate everybody being here. And every Tuesday, make sure you guys are checking out FOC and Chill with Marcus, the main man there. Usually it pops on right after the 10-1-1. So make sure you're supporting Marcus. And look for Insomniac Theater popping up whenever it pops up. You'll get the notification on Instagram with CJ. And make sure you're checking out interviews by K-Pop Junkie, who does a great job supporting the indie community. So make sure you're checking out all these people and supporting them. And thank you guys so much. We appreciate everybody being here. And until next time, you know how I like to end these things. Keep it casual.